times Judge Lauren Lake went psycho on paternity court.
You know what? It started off messy, the middle was messy, the end is messy. You all should be ashamed. These babies 4 years old sitting up. Babies got more sense than the mama and the daddy.
That's wild.
With eeny, meeny, miny, and no, we don't know this, and she did this, and he did this, talking about nothing.
Scuzzy confusion up in here, as the baby daddy is sure that in light of recent events, it's impossible that he fathered one of Miss Thorpe's twins, and he wants paternity rights for that one daughter. An unusual claim, right? Well, let's see how he chooses to proceed.
Originally, I was believed that both of them was mine. Over time, certain circumstances made me feel like neither were mine. Different things happened that made me believe just London was.
Whereas Imani Thorpe was taken aback by these claims, the woman was sure that he was the father of both twins, and he was acting like a child himself and needed to grow up. Yeah, even the frustration was evident on the defendant's face.
No, he is the father
Yes, Your
of
Honor.
both twins.
I was seeing another guy at the time that me and Antoine was talking, but the time matched up to Antoine being the father of both of my kids. Before anything, we were friends, so I don't even understand why he's even putting me through this. I told Antoine that I wanted to be in a relationship with him.
You heard the initial testimonies from both parties, so Miss Thorpe was with another guy, and this instigated the doubt part. The shocker was that even though she was doing it out of spite, the mommy had both men on the same ride, while the plaintiff was convinced of being the father.
I was very, very happy. Like, tour everything. It cost a lot. It was bassinets here, strollers there, car seats. Moved her into a family member house during her pregnancy. Try to make her as comfortable as possible. She hungry every day. I gotta feed her.
That's the least you could do.
Now you know Mr. Morris and Miss Thorpe's unusual entanglement, and a really wrong DNA testing story also popped up. Turns out that one day, out of the blue, the plaintiff took a home-based DNA test, which showed only one of the girls as his. Nonetheless, Lauren didn't like Mr. Morris playing detective with gadgets and all.
Understand that you didn't even use the swabs right.
I would just hope, I don't know. Like I said, so.
No, you don't. No, I mean, the truth is you don't. You was making something up.
Everything was just confusing. So.
It was.
I was lost.
The bummer was the defendant had no idea about any of this. The guy totally went back to her and posted the whole thing on social media. What made it worse was that Miss Thorpe wasn't sure at first too.
Your Honor, on my defense, I was at work at the time. I wasn't able to respond the way that I wanted to respond.
When I got the O, you knew.
But that's no reason to put it on Facebook, though, Your Honor.
No, that is no reason to put it.
At the time, I was more so hurt.
You were being a drama king. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's dramatic.
Next thing you know, Mr. Morris packed up his stuff and abandoned both girls and their mother for almost 18 months, but then decided to come back for his daughter. While he was being the king of drama, it slipped how he got both women pregnant at the same time.
You on team too much all the way around.
Yes.
So you had another baby by another woman at the same time.
The same reason when I was telling Imani why I couldn't be in a relationship with her, I was in a long-time relationship with someone else. We was on a break.
If you think both parents mess with other people and neglecting the kids is too much, then you should know that the children called their own father Uncle Twan. None of the participants were ready to take the blame.
You just got too much going on. You done gone through all this only for the children and now call you Uncle Twan?
I didn't tell him to.
Oh, you told him to, Miss Thorpe?
No, Your Honor. They just developed that because he's been around since day one. With him being around so much, they asked was Twan their dad. I told them no.
Now, this is all just about enough to rub anyone hard. I mean, treating children like projects? Hold on. What's wrong with them? Mommy's running after the guy at the podium while he's busy with another mama. You can tell how the judge is gonna react to that.
You know what? It started off messy, the middle was messy, the end is messy. You all should be ashamed. These babies 4 years old sitting up. To be 4 years old and have to sit up and ask two grown adults, is somebody my daddy? Babies got more sense than the mama and the daddy.
Ooh, Lake just rained on their parade. But I mean, hey, they had it coming. It's like, really, how dumb do you have to be to stoop that low? All of this is just beyond words, and the judge was done too. So she called for that envelope.
Really don't know if he's the dad or not.
I feel like he is.
Oh, Lord. A feeling, a feeling, a feeling. We're not talking about feeling. We're talking about facts. Mr. Morris, you are not the father.
This case here is the downright mix of disaster, and it's about to push Judge Lake to the edge, as Mommy accidentally blurted about how she swindled around and wanted a DNA test, because there were 3 men in this paternity mix.
I had sex with 3 different men around the same time my son conceived. I did have a 5.5-month fling with Mr. Scott. I also had a 7.5-year relationship with my ex, and I had a one-night stand with him around the time.
So now all cards are on the table. That's why the judge chose to look at the conception calendar, which had a lot of questionable behavior to show from both sides. Not a very good thing to watch. Still, Mr. Scott went below the belt.
How much did he pay?
Excuse me, Mr. Scott. You gonna be respectful in this courtroom.
Your Honor, this is him. He is a disrespectful man. He is very ignorant. He's all that to me and my son.
Looks like the guy at the podium is pushing his woman into the arms of other men with his own ignorance. In the plaintiff's words, she tried to work on things for almost 5 months, but the guy was too much.
Mr. Scott, I want to understand from your perspective why you are doubtful.
Okay, I'm doubtful because she said out of her own mouth, DNA test. I didn't know nothing about her situation. When she came and told me she was pregnant, I believed her because she's a woman who knows her body, who's supposed to know her body, who knows what she does.
However, Mr. Scott also had his own side of the story lined up. In his defense, he kept in the dark about other potential fathers, because he was playing daddy all of this time, and he'd even signed the birth certificate. Baby mama, on the other hand, refused to play along.
I came to him like a woman and I said, but Josiah might not be yours.
When did you do that?
And he was like, oh, I could have figured that because Josiah, the way Josiah was looking. And he came to the hospital, he looked at Josiah up and down. I'm talking about, he was checking Josiah's ears, his legs, his feet,
Your
everything.
Honor.
He searched
Your
Josiah
Honor.
from head and toe before he signed that birth certificate.
Miss Hatcher further disclosed that it was the defendant's girlfriend that put doubt in his mind, and he started acting like a buffoon ever since. Listening to this, the judge moved to the other potential father at the stand, who was also confused.
Now, why are you doubtful?
It was a one-night stand.
So you feel like just because it was a one-night stand, your odds...
Are very slim.
And he also told me that he made his
I
first
used
child off a
condom.
one-night stand.
I was about to say, it's plenty of people
That's
in
what
this
he told
world.
me.
Yeah,
He said
I
it
understand
possibly
that,
can
but
be.
Your Honor, if the child's mine, I don't have a problem with taking care of mine.
That's good to know.
Next, Hatcher told why she believed that Mr. Blake was the father, because the baby looked more like him. But the boy also resembled Mr. Sneed, and we all know how deceiving those appearances can be.
The thing I'm trying to do is just try to find out who my baby father is. Because I know that it's hard. I had moved from a house to having a car to an apartment with no stove, no working refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? And this man, you know he's homeless, and I let him stay out of my house. I don't want him to be my baby's father because he's 43 years old. He don't want to work.
Though it appeared that the plaintiff was jumping leaps and bounds to compensate the defendant, who was all show and no go, constant insults bugged the judge, as they were not useful.
But you slept with him without protection.
Yeah, I did.
At this point,
did.
the insults are irrelevant.
Yeah, it is.
Can I defend myself in a small way?
I've already defended you.
No,
If you would
I'm
listen
talking
and
about in
stop
a different
talking,
way.
you would already see.
And even Mr. Scott was not ready to be painted as such a villain. As homeless or not, he was taking care of all his children, except for this one, which was because of his doubt. The guy got pretty emotional doing it. And the judge summed it up like this.
Truth be told, when this man stepped up and signed the birth certificate, that's it. Because that's what babies deserve. Their mother and their father in the hospital, when they're born, signing the birth certificate and living their life. Not 2 years later, still sitting up here arguing
That's right.
with eeny, meeny, miny, and no, we don't know this, and she did this, and he did this, talking about nothing.
Come on, you know why Judge Lake runs this place. She made it clear that her courtroom is for children who cannot ask paternity questions, whereas the grown-ups can keep running their charades as much as they want, which is a very good cue for the result.
In the case of Hatcher v. Scott pertaining to whether Mr. Blake or Mr. Scott is the biological father of 2-year-old Josiah Scott, when it comes to Mr. Blake, you are not the father. When it comes to Mr. Scott, you are the father.
On and off again friends with benefits are stuck in a paternity dispute, and judgment is their only way out, as Miss Lewis wants the defendant to finally take responsibility because denying is not letting off the defendants from the paternity trial that easily. Let's see how the potential daddy chooses to proceed.
Why are you so confident you're not the biological father of Miss Lewis's children?
Because she's a liar, she's a cheater, and I have proof
Your
I'm not
Honor.
the father.
Such testimony made the plaintiff go ballistic. The woman could not imagine that after all the love and favors, Mr. Pippin was selling her out like that. So the judge asked them to put their differences aside and focus on the dispute at hand.
I met him, his mother was a bus driver at my school. One day he came home from the group home and he was riding the bus with her. I was about 15, 16. Fast forward, 2009, me and Mr. Pippin got closer. He was dating Miss Sanders, but she doesn't know this. That's when she had a little red truck. He came to my house. I was home by myself. We had sex the very first time in 2009.
So their timeline was a little confusing because of their on and off again dynamic. Moreover, the defendant had a permanent girlfriend on the side, but he was also begging his side chick to bear him a child. And now he has doubts.
Time around when she got pregnant, I wasn't out here and I wasn't in Greenville at the time when she got pregnant.
Oh,
I
so
was
you're
staying-
saying it's a timing issue?
Yes, ma'am. I was staying in Tarboro at the time with Miss Sanders.
What did you say? It's a timing issue? Don't rub that around this baby mama, because she has all the dates written and she gave them to the court. Maybe she knew what Mr. Pippin was capable of.
It is your contention, Mr. Pippin, Miss Sanders, that Mr. Pippin wasn't even around?
He wasn't because he was living with me in Tarboro. In order for him to go to work, I had to take him to work.
Just because you said you wanted me, he won't come home to me.
When we were going back and forth, he hadn't been to Greenville because of his work schedule and my work schedule.
Huh, his girlfriend testified that the defendant was with her all the time, which made it impossible for him to get around the miss. But the baby mama had another story lined up. According to her, the guy at the podium was with her and even promised to marry her.
Yes, I'm 21 years old. I didn't know how to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life yet. And here I am about to have a child. He comes to Greenville, where we live at, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? You asked me to have this child, I'm against abortion. So I said, I want him to lay down and have it, I'm gonna be woman to take care of it. He said, well, if that's your choice, I've got your back. I wanna be there for you.
Judge Lake was devastated over the fact that a baby was suffering in this situation because the defendant was jumping between both women. And now, playing the victim card and adding a child to that was just outrageous. Let's see what the future results are holding for this kid.
What are you feeling, Miss Lewis?
He don't even like you because you whine on him when he was 7 months old. He said, Dad, 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 Dad. And you whine at the front door and claim like you never heard him call you.
When it comes to 2-year-old Quayshawn Pippin, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pippin, you are not
I
his
told you
father.
then. I told you.
Okay, such big claims, and those 5 words. That definitely calls for drama now, doesn't it? But how will Mommy cover up all the shows she put on at the trial? She was confused or just lying on TV? Bad call, Missy.
Calm down, because this is a mess. And yet, you two continue to have a sexual relationship because we have yet another child whose paternity is in question.
So the judge started the same trivia again, as there was another child in question. But this time, there was another potential father, the current boyfriend. Well, time to watch what this guy has to say about the situation.
When she hurt, she cried. I was there with her. When he was born, I cut the neighbor cord. I signed birth certificate, he needed a father. Ever since he had my last name, I bought the boy clothes, shoes, Pampers. Then he go right down with when I first fed him. I was there with the boy. That's why people think we favorable. I've been with her ever since then.
So, same behavior, but this time they both were going back and forth between the people. But baby mama was more sure of this one, and she had even named the baby after the defendant. Time for the second envelope.
It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Pippin, you are his father.
Thank
Told you, I told you.
Then I step up and do what I gotta do. That's what I wanted to know the whole time.
Oh boy, what are these people up to? It's like they can't get enough of just playing with young lives. And if you ask me, I don't think that they're done just yet. Let's see how Judge Lake handles this one.
There are a lot of innocent children involved in this situation. Now, we have resources for you, and you all need to take advantage of them. You all done your dirt. You all are messed up, turned out, back around. This whole thing was such a mess, I could barely understand the story. It was such a mess. Y'all gotta clean this up, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When your friends pimp you out instead of protecting you, manfall is coming your way. And picking up the wrong friends has landed Miss White in paternity court. The only good thing was that her mother wanted to set things right.
You've been very concerned.
Yes, because my daughter, she's finding love in all the wrong places. She want to feel love. She want boyfriends, but you don't find them like that going on Craigslist. You know, you jeopardizing your life.
The plaintiff was right that her daughter was just finding love in all the wrong places. But the real question was, why was the young white doing so? When the judge asked her about it, the baby mama told the judge how her appearance was affecting her life choices.
You know, people could tell you you're beautiful, you know, but if I don't feel it, I don't feel like it's true.
Is that why you started to sleep with young men? To try to get that feeling of, I'm beautiful, someone loves me?
I wanted all that, and I never got it.
It was evident that all of the unexpected had driven teenagers to the edge of swindling like that. And now there were 3 men in the courtroom, while Christy had no idea who the father of the child was.
You started dating Mr. Clopton as well?
I wasn't dating him. That was just like a one-night stand.
But obviously you slept with them during that same period of conception.
Yes.
Any other men you were with during this time?
There was the other guy that I had met at her house also.
Did you sleep with him as well?
Yes, Sean.
All right, this kid messed up badly. Nevertheless, it was high time to get the 2 potentials, too young to be daddies, in. The first one was Mr. Langford. The guy was Miss White's exclusive boyfriend, while the other one was Corey, who had also been intimate with her while she was fooling around with multiple men.
This other gentleman came in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. White, they're both claiming that they had sex with you on nights when other guys also had sex.
That's untrue.
You had sex with both of them.
Yes, Sean.
During the time of conception.
Yes, Sean.
That was upsetting to watch. A young woman entertaining so many men on the same night? Oof. But anyway, the plaintiff told the court how no one except Mr. Langford tried to be there for Christina. And when the results came in, she was expecting the father to step up for the sake of the child.
You have tried to step up and be a father.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Clopton, have you?
I ain't even know she was pregnant.
You never knew she was pregnant.
No,
That's not true.
Today came and told me.
Now, let's get that toxic best friend in. However, the moment Miss Miller got in, Mommy went off the wall. The plaintiff blamed her for the condition her daughter was in, while Miller brushed it off, saying that she wasn't to be accused of the paternity confusion.
I can't control that because she's
If that's your friend, you could have called me.
That's a grown
You know
woman.
me.
We not children. I can't tell you what to do.
house.
Cause she ain't gotta sleep with these guys. You feel me? My mama said I don't feel like. She be like I don't feel like that.
You all can argue back and forth across this aisle, but this is her choice. And she admits that she's sleeping for the wrong reason.
All the nasty information being thrown around and the blame game going on clearly threw the question of the child's father into the shadows. And we all know how Judge Lake tends to get when such things happen. So, here's her reaction.
You're 18 years old, sleeping with men. You all using sex like it's a spectator sport. I don't care if another person in this world ever tells you you're beautiful. One thing's for sure, everybody's beautiful in the bed with their legs in the air. You hear me? That's the okie doke. You get it?
Yes, Sean.
But if you think that judge would let the men go off her leash, then you are wrong. Because they also got a good schooling, Lauren Lake style. That's why she went off like this.
To engage in activity that can produce a human being is the moment you have made the direct or indirect decision that it's time for you to grow up because now you gotta raise somebody.
Yeah.
I can't believe young people your age, and I'm looking at you and you all are people's parent. I'm not laughing, I'm scared.
So, guys fooling around and unintentionally making babies was over. Now, it was time to grow up and to live up to your responsibilities. Judge, please get that envelope and let's figure out which one of these guys daddy is.
Mr. Langford, you are her father.
Told you, bro.
Made you emotional. You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
How do you feel, Chris?
I just feel like Mr. Langford is very childish and immature.